So we're all gathered here today so I can talk a little bit about how social control affected the writing of The Handmaid's Tale. My name is Ryder Springer. You all know that though, which is good. So, who controls the world? That's a question we all gotta ask ourselves. Is it us, the people? Do we control it? Is it someone else? Is it the government? Is it the invisible government? Is that something that people believe in? Some people do, some people don't. The society. Do what one person say, someone else follows? We all believe that. Something we gotta think about in today's world. So, what happens if we don't take action? We're gonna see like what happened in Gilead, where everyone just listens to the older women rather than thinking for themselves. We have a few people who decided to think for themselves, but for the most part, everyone thought, I'm just gonna follow the rules, get along with life, and it'll be good. Is that what we want? Just like in the Holocaust. No one thought otherwise. No one thought it was a bad idea when Hitler said, let's start killing people. Is that what we want? Today's society, it could happen any day. So, and then what happens to the rest of the world when one person affects it? So when one person says something, like we'll go with, let's say clothing. One person says hats are in, one person says they're not. But 10 people decide, yeah, hats are in. So then everyone starts wearing them. Eventually, that one person started a trend which is going to affect social control. Everyone's going to think, well, one person did it, now there's 10. Let's jump on that bandwagon, let's do it. Let's do what everyone else does. Why not be ourselves? We're all people, let's be ourselves. So, a little history. 1901, Edward A. Ross was the first one to come up with social control theory. Basically what he's saying is that if everyone follows in line, we're going to have a perfect social control. One person is going to control everything from a social aspect. He's going to say one thing and everyone else is going to believe it. That was in 1901 when he first came up with this idea. And there's been 10 people since him that said, yeah, they've tweaked the theory a little bit, but everyone said, this is a real thing. This is what's going on in society. We don't think for ourselves, we think for everyone else, or a group of people, and it affects everyone. That's not what we want. So, my message based off of the novel was, don't let social control take over your life. It's not worth it. We're all individuals, we all have our own identity. As you can see, I dressed in purple and black. There's only one other person dressed in purple and black. My own person, right? That's what we all need to be. We all have to be. If we're not, things are going to look bad. So, one of the big things was in there was peer pressure. No one fought. They all went with the group. If one person said something, they followed it. And then when one person decided that that wasn't the right way to do it, she was peer pressured into believing that was the way life should go. That you have no other choice but to fall in line. And when you fall in line, everything's great. But when you don't, you get punished. You have physical and mental pain. Is that something that most people have faced? Peer pressure? I know I have. I've faced peer pressure. People are all the time saying, why do you talk so much? Why are you so loud? Why are this and that? Because I'm an individual and I like being who I am. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. That's who I am. I'm my own person. I don't fall to peer pressure. Social media was not part of this novel because they didn't really have social media back then, I'm guessing. But in today's society, it's a huge thing. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. How many people, be honest, have at least one of those? Everyone. Why do you think that is? It's because you're falling to peer pressure and you're falling under social control. Someone designed this product to not only say, I think this is a great idea, but if I make it, everyone's going to follow it. Everyone's going to believe exactly whatever I say, that this is a great product. But also, you know, it's on social media. Now there's businesses on there. There's people trying to say that, oh, well, this person died or this person's living, when we know 90% of the time they're false. People are posting stuff their social views to try and get other people to believe them. Why? What is the point? It's for social control. They want everyone to believe the same thing they do. And then TV. We all watch TV. I'm sorry to say, today's society, we all watch TV. News. The news is a huge social media control because they will post or put on broadcast whatever they want. And no one ever says anything to them because who's going to stand up against the news? They're supposed to be this representable product, right? Not necessarily. The news, a lot of times, has an idea and they're going to portray that. And based off of your newscast you watch, you're going to see it like Fox News versus CSN. There's a huge difference in between their views. CSN is more going to be the political side, where Fox News is going to be the individual personal side. So social control right there in two different groups, and you can be controlled by whatever group says what. Is that what we want? That's what happened here. Is that what we're going to continue to do? So, the event I want to talk about that happened in the novel was when Alfred went to the lake with her mom. I think we all remember some little backstory. Her mom tricked her into going to feeding the ducks. That didn't happen. Social control. The mom led her daughter here because she thought it was right. Not because her daughter didn't want to go, because she was controlled by the older women who were burning the porn magazines or the erotic magazines. Excuse me. As you noticed, most of the men were standing around watching. Most of them were not the ones throwing the magazines in. It was all the older females. Now, in Gilead, the men were higher power. So why were females controlling them? Social control. Most men are not going to argue with a woman of like their significant other. They're not going to stand up against her. If they're smart, they would not do that, and I don't blame them. So they were doing that. So what happened when Alfred got the magazine? She had urges. She wanted to look through the magazine. She wanted to find her identity within that magazine. We all know she didn't. She was not able to. Before she could fully focus all of her urges on looking through that magazine, she threw it in the fire as social control. She was pressured into doing that. So, a couple quotes that Green, who actually did a news article about The Handmaid's Tale, said the time before Alfred, basically saying that before her everything was great, nothing went wrong, and social control was at its prime. And then laying low is because everyone laid low. No one fought against the system. No one drove themselves to say this isn't right. They didn't stand up for themselves. So, as I close today, just a couple thoughts.